Where at the shore? Where do you go?
It's in Ventnor.
Okay.
Yeah, nice town.
What kind of fishing do you do?
We stay in the bay. We fish for flounder.
Okay.
Don't go out in the ocean much. Don't always catch as much in the ocean up here. But just being out on the boat itself, I enjoy going for a ride.
My family loves fishing, and I can't swim, and I'm allergic to fish, so it's it's been horrible, and I've hated them every summer for many years. Because nothing like catching and frying up a good meal that you can't eat.
Yeah.
You know? And,
but we'll catch flounder, and we'll make flounder, and I set up crab traps at the house in the bay, traps. And we'll clean the crabs and make crab cakes. So we have fun doing that.
I love crabbing.
You just can't eat it, huh?
Well, people love it because I'm bringing back stuff for them because I can't eat it.
They can eat it,
you know.
Yeah.
And then they give me some pork roll or bologna, and they consider that a swap. And but yeah, I love crabbing. The science of crabbing. You ever do it with the string and just catch it one at a time?
I call it a bunker line.
Yeah. That's good too. So the dog fishing, and see, I just wonder how the next generation after you, whose life has been all digital, all on the internet, how they are going to pass the scrutiny to get into politics, or are we going to have to lower the bar?
I think we probably a lot of people listening probably think that bar's pretty low right now.
Gone. That bar was taken years ago. There's no bar.
Look at these wackos and crooks we have in government. Yeah, I think the bar will have to go even lower, unfortunately.
Well, where do you think?
Pretty sad.
Where do you think the bar should be lowered and not should? Where shouldn't we budge? I mean, ethics and morality, we should try not budge on that. But
I mean, there's cases where I think, why does this guy even run for office and subject himself to this criticism? He knows he has the baggage. Not everyone's perfect, but when you have significant baggage, criminal history, whatever it may be, to run for office, if your ego's that big, you probably shouldn't be a candidate. You're not a good candidate. So
yeah, you're not going to survive a high scrutiny of any sort.
Yeah.
I just wonder, will we be taking people that have only one felony at some point or whatever, or like you've got your famous picture of you with the 3 girls. There's going to be a million pictures out there of people, and you can be put in a situation where you're somewhere and somebody just snaps a picture because there's always 80 cameras around now.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
you have to be mindful. You're in the public spotlight, and you have to stay clean. I mean, I always have the mindset, would I want my parents knowing that I'm doing this? And if I don't want them knowing it, because it would be embarrassing to them, I certainly wouldn't want to embarrass my parents.
What are some of your rules of thumb for dealing with the public, for being out there? Like, extra tie, do you always have like a change of clothes in the trunk? There's got to be rules, What happens if you get like a wayward sneeze that right in the middle of something just...
Oh.
There goes the jacket. Or is that the reason that your entire staff is the exact same size as you? Because it's like, is he your walking spare set of clothes?
Yeah, I was
saying, pants now.
No, I try to avoid wardrobe changes. That would only complicate things further. But you get used to it, just like anything else. I remember the first door I ever knocked on at a young age. Of course, you feel a little shy and timid because you're knocking on a strange person's door and interrupting their day. And just like anything else in life, the more you do it, the better you get. And the more doors I knock on, the more comfortable I get with it. The more strangers I introduce myself to, I get more comfortable with it. And now it's like, don't even think about it.
Yeah, it's like knock on another door in your own house.
Yeah, it becomes easy.
I remember years ago I got, this is similar but comfortable in a bizarre way. I had a thing where this woman, in the course of moving and medical stuff, she urinated on me. Okay, so I changed my clothes in between calls and everything. I had a spare set. Happened again. So I put on some the really, really backup stuff, kind of like the scrub stuff, like that last one stuff. Happened a third time. I'm out of changes. I said, you know what? I'm just embracing it. I said, because
part of the job, huh?
Well, you know, when you're a man that's been urinated on 3 times in one shift, people don't mess with you. They cross the street.
I
You're
imagine.
a little bulletproof. You know, so you do have to embrace things and just accept them. I just don't know how you. It used to be harder to reach politicians. You used to have to write a letter, and then you could send a fax. Now somebody can tweet you, they can Facebook, they can Snapchat, they can actually talk to you. They can reach you in many ways. Doesn't that in some what do you prioritize when somebody reaches out to you? What do you go for?
Well, if somebody contacts my office with an actual concern or an issue they're having, anyone who contacts me, we follow up with, and we do the best we can to point them in the right direction or help them the best we can. Then on social media, you get a lot, I call them trolls, where it's some weird-looking guy in his mother's basement that's on his computer, and he's writing profanity and things on your Facebook page that are bizarre and creepy and complete nonsense. And I learned early on, I wasn't used to that, obviously, to block that out and just ignore it. But you get a lot of keyboard warriors where they have a big mouth on the keyboard.
Yeah, I call it digital heart. Like,
yeah, but if they ever saw me in person, they wouldn't open their mouth.
Yeah.
So
there's, I mean, how does that fall? I mean, shouldn't it be? And it's tough to say. Shouldn't it be freedom of intelligent speech?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a word missing. I think a word got dropped out there because I see so many people post. Well, we have this happen a lot where. When there's a missing person case, and I always tell the family, don't get on social media because you can't control it. Mm-hmm. And they're going to put you under a microscope. They're going to judge you. These armchair sleuths are going to go looking in your background. They're going to find out. And they're going to try and make it some sinister, thing. And you see these people, and they're typing stuff, and you don't realize you just spat it out. But these people are at a very vulnerable stage, and it's going to be stuck out there forever for them. They're reading every word.
Sure.
And there's no accountability for that. It's like, I think your email address or something should just be like your street address so people can just roll up and just egg your house or whatever they want to do. It's too anonymous. Like in the beginning with cell phones, that there was a thing where he said that your cell phone number should be your license plate number. So that we can just call you up when you're bad driving and go, hey, schmuck, I
love that.
And just call the person right up. But it's social media. You've got to. Have you found?
Now it's also an effective tool to communicate with my constituents. I mean, I do get legitimate messages on social media, and those I follow up with, of course. But there's so many bizarre people out there on the internet these days.
You have to filter through so much.
Oh, I just get like I said, I call them trolls. Just people that's.
What's the most bizarre thing somebody's ever asked you about her?
Oh.
UFOs, Bigfoot, Elvis.
Oh, actually funny, UFOs. I think probably my first week or two into the job, I had a person call my office and say that they saw a UFO in the air. And I got on the phone and I'm like, well, is it hurting you? Are you sure it's not a plane? Is it a bird? No, it's a UFO, and I think aliens are going to come down, whatever they said. And I said, well, this is a county, and this sounds like a federal issue since it's the air. Would you like the number for your Congress representative?
You didn't say, is it a bird, is it a plane? Because I
was trying to gauge what the heck this person was saying. But that was a pretty bizarre call, and that was when I first started, actually. So I did get a UFO. Do you ever block or censor people? Does anybody ever push you that far? Yeah, I do. On social media, it's my page that I operate.
Doesn't it bother you to have to do that? That somebody?
Yeah, I wish I didn't have to do it.
With them?
But when people, like I said, use profanity and vulgar language and personal insults that are not productive or pertain to the post, let's just say, I block them because it just
gets too visceral and there's no accountability.
And there's people that bellyache over that I would block a internet troll. But guess what? It's my page. It's not the government's page. This is a campaign-related outreach page that I have control over.
What value do you put on if somebody mails you a handwritten letter? Is that still
I keep every one I ever get. So I have a drawer with a folder that's large of all handwritten notes and letters I received. When I opposed the property tax increase in December of 2016, the residents of Montgomery County were whacked with a back-to-back tax increase on their county bill. And I was the one no vote. And the outpour of support of letters from especially senior citizens that were on a fixed income that are being taxed out of their homes. We're very appreciative of the stance I took. And still, I mean, if I expose pay-to-play politics or a campaign donor being receiving a lucrative public-funded funding for their construction project, whatever it may be, there's people that are aware of it, and they take the time to write me a note. And that goes a long way because they're looking up my address of where to mail it, taking the time to write it. And that means a lot to me.
It's a different feel.
So keep everyone.
Yeah, it's a different feel than an email. And I have a great political idea for you to just rocket your campaign, not to put this guy out of a job. There's another guy here that never speaks in the corner, and I think everybody sees him. I'm not sure if there's like a Fight Club thing going on or something. You dye your hair gray. Then you're not young. You're youthful. You're youthful. You grab a whole other market.
Well, you know what? It's funny. So people think, well, you know, he's so young and he really engaged well with senior citizens, for example. And I always laugh because I'm an old soul. I like old music. I like old movies. And the best conversations I have are with senior citizens because they've experienced so much during their lifetime. They have the best stories to tell. I love spending time with the senior citizens. I think we can learn so much from them. And I like Elvis Presley as my favorite entertainer. I like Earl Flynn as an actor. I mean, you're going pretty far back with that. But I'm an old soul. And I think those generations of the past are totally different than my generation and the upcoming generations. They were really quality people that worked hard, and they value a strong work ethic and family values. And we can learn a lot from that generation.
Well, you're one of the youngest people I've had on here because I really don't like young people that much, and I don't want to make it horrible or sugarcoat it. I mean, I'm hard on young people because somebody has to be. It's the job of the older people to push them along. But I don't think that I think they get a bad rap too, and I think they have a lot of pressures on them that they haven't even begun to deal with. That they need to get it together because it's going to be a rocky ride. And I see people that just don't seem to have the ability to rally, and people don't have grit anymore. They don't have a second win, and it's not everybody, but I see a disproportionate amount of people don't because I was much happier when I was young and a slacker, but somehow by the bar being lowered, I became John Wayne or something, and I'm really not comfortable with that. I want to go back to being a slacker, being yelled at about my dad, by my dad. But I see people on. We had a judge from the county on who was very young too. And he was, there's an ambition and a drive that you see in, I don't know, one out of whatever people, but you don't, and there's hope, and it gives hope. And I understand what the people are saying about you're too young, but it's, how do you weigh it out? I mean, experience matters, but you need energy and youth. You need to have a balance. You can't have too much of one.
Oh, yeah.
And you can grow, in defense of youth, which is, I don't think I've ever said those words, but you can grow into the wisdom. That older person can't get youthful again. There's no way to do that,
Yeah, well, what I learned from my parents that was a big asset to me in this field was the time to take risks is when you're young. Because when you're young, even if you fail at an attempted risk, you can recover. you can try it again. You can do something else and learn from it. So you really have nothing to lose when you're young and take a risk. And just like an entrepreneur, there's risk and reward. There's no reward if you don't take that risk. And